The quiet suburban town of Amityville, New York, holds one of the darkest secrets in American history. It all began in the early hours of November 13, 1974, when the DeFeo family was brutally murdered inside their home. What would later become known as the Amityville Horror started not with ghosts or paranormal activity, but with 6 shocking deaths. The eldest son, Ronald DeFeo Jr., claimed that voices told him to kill his parents and siblings. Over the years, this house has seen it all: crime, fear, and the supernatural, wrapped in layers of myth and legend. But before the hauntings, there was murder, a real terrifying event that left a permanent scar. Was this house cursed from the start, or did something darker compel these actions? Through this investigation, we'll explore what happened that fateful night, the trial that followed, and the chilling after effects that still haunt people today. Fact or fiction, the Amityville story has captivated minds for decades. Join us as we delve deep into the horrors behind the murders and what truly took place at 112 Ocean Avenue. The truth might be more disturbing than any ghost story ever told. The Night of Terror, the DeFeo family murders. On a cold November night in 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. entered his family home in Amityville and committed a crime that would shock the nation. Armed with a .35 caliber rifle, he murdered his parents and 4 siblings as they slept in their beds. What is most unsettling is the methodical nature of the killings. Each shot fired with precision, each body found lying face down. No neighbors reported hearing gunshots, only a dog barking, adding to the growing sense of unease surrounding the events. The house itself seemed undisturbed from the outside. Inside, it was a different story: blood-stained sheets, lifeless bodies, and the eerie quiet that follows violence. Ronald claimed he had been possessed, that voices in his head urged him to kill, but his behavior immediately after the murders raised more questions than answers. Why did none of the victims wake up? How could 6 people be killed in one night without a single cry for help? The DeFeos appeared to be a typical family, but beneath the surface, there were tensions. Ronald had a troubled past, a history of violent outbursts and drug abuse. His father was said to be controlling and abusive, which may have contributed to the younger DeFeo's rage. Whether the murders were a result of a toxic family dynamic or something more sinister, this event would leave a legacy of horror behind. The discovery of the bodies shocked the small community of Amityville, and soon the press descended on the town, making the DeFeo murders national news. Ronald himself initially tried to feign innocence, blaming the murders on a mob hit, but his story quickly unraveled. He confessed to the killings, but the question remained: what drove him to commit such a heinous crime? Could it all be explained by drugs and the troubled mind, or was there something darker at play? As the investigation progressed, the unanswered questions multiplied. The chilling fact that all 6 family members were killed in their sleep, with no signs of struggle, left investigators baffled. The house, now a crime scene, became the focal point of the mystery. What truly happened in the DeFeo home that night, and why has it sparked decades of speculation? The investigation, uncovering the horrific truth. The police investigation into the DeFeo murders revealed a shocking and gruesome reality. With Ronald DeFeo Jr. in custody, detectives combed through the evidence, trying to piece together how the events unfolded. The murder weapon was found, and Ronald's confession gave details that were both chilling and puzzling. Yet, the precision of the killings and the lack of noise raised more questions than it answered. Ronald's behavior became erratic during interrogations, alternating between claims of innocence and chilling confessions. He alleged that voices had told him to commit the murders, adding an unsettling layer to the already horrific case. Investigators struggled to determine whether Ronald was mentally unstable or if there was a deeper motive behind his actions. The question of whether he acted alone or with help also lingered, as inconsistencies in his statements emerged. As investigators looked into Ronald's past, they discovered a history of drug use, violent behavior, and family tensions. His strained relationship with his father, a domineering figure in the household, was well documented. While some believed that this volatile relationship could explain the murders, others were not so sure. Was Ronald merely a product of a troubled environment, or was there something more disturbing beneath the surface? The media frenzy surrounding the case only added to the intrigue. Reporters from across the country descended upon Amityville, eager to uncover every detail. As the story gained traction, the house itself became a symbol of terror, a physical reminder of the horrors that occurred within its walls. The public couldn't get enough. What really happened in Amityville, and what dark secrets might still lie hidden? Despite the overwhelming amount of evidence pointing to Ronald's guilt, the mystery of the Amityville murders was far from over. The lack of clear motive, the precise nature of the killings, and Ronald's bizarre claims left both investigators and the public grasping for answers. The truth seemed just out of reach, shrouded in confusion and fear. The trial, Ronald DeFeo Jr.'s confession and defense. Ronald DeFeo Jr.'s trial began in October 1975, and it quickly became a media spectacle. The defense argued that Ronald was insane at the time of the murders, citing his claims of hearing voices and his history of mental illness. The prosecution, however, portrayed him as a cold-blooded killer who had planned the murders and carried them out with chilling precision. The jury's task was to determine whether Ronald was in control of his actions or if he truly had lost his mind. Throughout the trial, the jury heard conflicting testimonies from psychiatrists, each presenting a different theory about Ronald's mental state. Some argued that he was suffering from paranoid schizophrenia, while others believed he was fully aware of what he was doing. Ronald's own testimony was erratic, sometimes claiming he had been possessed, other times maintaining his innocence. The trial was a psychological puzzle, with no easy answers in sight. As the trial dragged on, the public became increasingly fascinated by Ronald's ever-changing story. His defense team painted him as a victim of his own mind, while the prosecution focused on the brutality of the crime. The jury had to sift through these competing narratives to arrive at the truth. Was Ronald a puppet of dark forces, or was this a calculated act of murder? In the end, the jury found Ronald DeFeo Jr. guilty of 6 counts of second-degree murder. While the defense had attempted to prove insanity, the jury was not convinced. Ronald was sentenced to 6 consecutive life terms, sealing his fate behind bars. But even as the trial ended, the story of the Amityville murders was far from over. With the conviction of Ronald DeFeo Jr., the legal chapter of the Amityville murders came to a close. However, the haunting aftermath of the case would continue to grip the public's imagination for years to come. The trial may have answered some questions, but it left many others open, fueling the legend of the Amityville horror. The haunting, myth or reality? After the DeFeo murders, the house at 112 Ocean Avenue took on a life of its own. When the Lutz family moved in a year later, they claimed to experience terrifying paranormal activity, from strange noises to demonic apparitions. Their story became the basis for the book and subsequent film, The Amityville Horror, which further cemented the house's reputation as a place of evil. But were these supernatural claims real, or just a sensationalized story designed to profit from tragedy? The Lutz family's accounts of paranormal activity ranged from the unsettling to the unbelievable. George Lutz described waking up every night at 3:15 a.m., the exact time of the DeFeo murders, while Kathy Lutz claimed to have seen a demonic figure in the house. The media quickly picked up the story, and the Lutzes became the reluctant stars of a supernatural phenomenon. Their experience in the house lasted only 28 days, but the legend they created has lasted for decades. The release of The Amityville Horror film in 1979 only intensified public fascination with the house. Hollywood's dramatic portrayal of the events blurred the line between fact and fiction, leaving audiences wondering where the truth ended and the myth began. The film, based on the Lutzes' experience, presented a chilling narrative of possession, malevolent spirits, and a family trapped in a nightmare. But many skeptics believe that the entire story was a fabrication, designed to capitalize on the already notorious DeFeo murders. Paranormal investigators, psychics, and skeptics have all weighed in on the Amityville Horror, but no consensus has ever been reached. Some believe that the house is cursed, a site of concentrated evil, while others argue that the supernatural claims were part of an elaborate hoax. What is undeniable is the impact that the Amityville story has had on pop culture, shaping the way we think about haunted houses and the mysteries they hold. Whether or not the hauntings were real, the Amityville house remains an enduring symbol of fear and fascination. It stands as a monument to both the horrific crimes committed within its walls and the chilling tales that followed. The truth about what happened there may never be fully known, but one thing is certain: the house at 112 Ocean Avenue continues to cast its long, dark shadow. The Amityville murders are more than just a story of a family tragedy. They are a complex web of horror, myth, and the unknown. While Ronald DeFeo Jr. remains behind bars for his unspeakable crime, the house itself has become a character in its own right, shaping the narrative of what happened in Amityville. The Lutzes may have left the house, but their story of haunting has refused to fade, keeping the legend alive for future generations. Did dark forces really drive Ronald to kill, or was it simply the unraveling of a troubled mind? Are the hauntings merely fiction, or did something supernatural awaken that fateful night? These questions may never have concrete answers, but they continue to captivate those who dare to ask. The house at 112 Ocean Avenue remains a symbol of fear and mystery, a place where history and legend collide. The truth may be elusive, but the impact of the Amityville story is undeniable. And as long as the house stands, so too will the questions it raises.
Thank you for watching. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment if you enjoyed the content and see you in our next video.